Hey guys, to begin today's 5th grade worksheets, we're going to start off with converting fractions to decimals. So normally when you convert fractions to decimals, what you would do is divide. So for example, you have 1/2. So this would become 1 divided by 2 equals 0.5. But with today's fractions, we can look at it more simplistically. So let's look at number 3. So before we begin, you need to remember 100 is equal to 1 when you move the decimal twice. But the 100 is important at the moment. Okay, so the first step, when it comes to, I'm going to list some numbers like 2, 4, 5, 20, 25, 10, 50, and maybe a few more. You're going to, and only those numbers, you can just figure out what that number, so in this case it's 20 times what equals 5. 20 times 5 equals 100. Oh, sorry, this I meant 100 in the beginning. And so you get 3 over 20. You're going to multiply by 5 and 5. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. You get 15 over 100. And then remember what I did before, you move the decimal twice. You're going to move this twice to make it 1. Move this twice. You get an answer of 0.15. Moving on. Multiplying decimal. So this is one of the most easiest operations you can probably do for decimals. So let's try one together. So number 2. First step, ignore the zeros and decimals and only focus on the whole numbers. So, and multiplying them. So 9 times 8 equals 72. You're going to determine how many decimals this has to move by determining how many each of the numbers have. So this has 1 decimal point, so we're just going to put 1. And this has 2 in order to make it whole at least. And then that becomes 3 places. So you go 1, 2, 3, put a decimal there, put a 0 there. And so your answer becomes 0.072. Now factors. So what are factors? Well, factors are a list of numbers that never pass the number that you're supposed to list. So for in this example is 18, you will never pass 18 in this list. And it's basically the numbers that when you multiply together, it becomes 18. But it has a specific pair, of course. So for example, you get 1 and 18, you get 2 and 9, you get 3 and 6. There's nothing else, because 4 and 18 don't divide, and 5 doesn't work, obviously. So let's try number 3 together. So always list 1, because 1 times anything is that number. So of course 1 and 8 always work. So now let's try 2. Does 2 work? Yes, because it is an even number. And you want to keep in mind that 2 times 4 is 8, so that we can put it in a more organized way. 3 does 3 work? No. 4 works, because we have it down here. We can just get rid of it. Does 5 work? No. 6? No. 7? No. And 8, obviously. And that is your list, factor list for 8. And lastly, rounding to the nearest 1,000. Okay. So when it says nearest 1,000, so we're going to determine if the thousandth place in the numbers are going to go up or down. Okay, so remember, any number that is bigger than 5, up, you go up 1. But any number Lower than 5 stays. Okay, so let's try number 4 together. Okay, so we see this huge number, and we're just going to find the thousandth place. Right here. And now we're going to look at the number next to us. That's going to help us determine. And 1 is obviously less than 5, so it stays the same. So we get a 6. And we're going to do the rest 0, because remember, we only focus up to this number, and the rest become irrelevant. And when you round, you're basically just making a more simpler number anyway, so yes. So yeah, you would have to turn those into zeros. I hope this all made sense, and thank you for listening.